It is always great catching up with my next guest, Jordan Wright, who is back in action, going to be taking on Zac Pauga coming up here, UFC Fight Night, February 18th. Jordan, how are you, man?
I'm great, James. I'm great. Feeling awesome. Training's been going well, and yeah, I'm at the top of my game right now. How are you?
I'm doing great. I appreciate you asking. Not everyone asks how I'm doing, so I already like the start of this. But moving up to 205, is this was this just because of the opportunity, or is this a permanent move up? What's sort of the reason for that? That's one of the things that caught my eye about this fight.
Well, I made my UFC debut at 205.
That's right.
And in all honesty, James, I think I had done an interview with you a few fights ago where I told you that I was having plans of moving up to 205 eventually. Like the weight cut's just getting a little too hard for me. And yeah, I think that's honestly one of the things that's been affecting my performance. Like the last month of camp is just straight up dieting, and it's really hard to maintain a high training pace when I'm cutting so many calories. And then on fight week, I have even more weight to lose. So yeah, it's pretty nice to just be able to be full and have not big as a cut.
And how I'm sure the mentality is different too, because it's not as big of a focus during camp as the cut. You just sort of go in there, focus on your skills, focusing the opponent. It's not about having to, count calories and all that, right?
Exactly. That's it. 100%. All I need to really focus on is just my own skills and myself and the shape I'm in and my strength. And it's just really cool to be able to push it and not have to be like, oh crap, I had, too many calories today. Should I, is it going to affect me tomorrow? Blah, 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 all these things. And, yeah, no, I'm really excited. To be honest, man, like 195 would be my ideal weight class,
Okay.
but that is not a weight class in the UFC, so I'll just have to deal now. But to be honest, 205, I think I'm a legit 205er. I'm a legitimate 205er, just with my body composition and how I feel at the weight I'm at right now. I think even 195 might be a pretty hard cut, so 205 is the way to go for now.
Good. And taking on Zac Pauga, like I mentioned, who we know from The Ultimate Fighter. He was a finalist, ended up losing the finale. Were you familiar with him before taking the fight, or was he one of those guys you had to look up?
He was one of the guys I had to look up. I was not aware of who he was, but the dude's got a decent resume. He's he was in the LFA, I believe,
Yeah.
and he did pretty well there prior to going to the Ultimate Fighter. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, should be a fun matchup. It's never fun to talk about a loss, but we got to do it here quickly.
Yeah,
What did you learn the most from that last fight against Dusko? I always forget how you say his name, but obviously not the result you wanted.
Yeah, no, he was actually an opponent that I've been wanting to fight for a long time, and that was sort of like a wake up call for me in a lot of ways. Like Dusko is not that big. I can tell he probably didn't cut a lot of weight. And to pat my own self on the back here, I know I did really well that first round, but I didn't have the energy to have a second wind.
Mm.
Cardio is something that I've always taken to be very serious in my career, but it's just so hard when you're so drained. Like that fight week is just such a it's. I try my best to not stress out about it as much, but I would say, you know my fight is the scale a lot of the time.
Mm.
And it's really funny. Like I watch a lot of my fights back, and when I see my opponent, of course, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like they're so big, blah, blah, blah. But then when I watch the fight back, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm bigger than that guy. Like I feel like my last four opponents, five opponents, really, I've been significantly bigger than. Even when I fought Ike Villanueva at 205, he wasn't bigger than me.
Yeah.
Like he carried a little more extra, but like I was the bigger guy, I think. And yeah, I think this is definitely the weight class that I'm supposed to be in. And Dushko's a great guy. He's a really cool guy. We had some interactions throughout fight week. He's a true martial artist, and I just appreciate the opportunity that I had to share the cage with him and learn what I was able to learn.
Well said, man. I like that. Let's talk about Zac. 5-1 record. I mentioned him being on the Ultimate Fighter. Also trains at a good camp at Elevation Fight Team. I know he works with Curtis Blades and those guys over there. How do you feel like you match up against him stylistically?
I like fighting guys who want to shoot in. If he wants to strike with me, that's absolutely fine too. I've been doing striking arts ever since I was a child. But I like fighting guys that want to get the takedown. So I think this will be a really good. I wouldn't say debut at 205 because I've already done well there in that weight class. So I just want to keep the ball rolling in my favor at 205 and show the world that I am one of the top guys.
Yeah, love it, man. Training camp, anything different? I know you're training obviously with your great coach there, Anthony Hardonk. Who else are you getting to work with over there?
I've been getting a lot of wrestling in with Vladimir.
Oh, the janitor, of course, one of the
Yeah,
legends. Yeah.
of course he's been my main coach for a long time, but it's really cool to take a lot of what he we've been focusing a lot, and I've been bringing in some guys, John Hernandez, who's a training partner of mine at my jiu-jitsu academy. He's 3-0 as a professional fighter at heavyweight, and 2-0 as a professional boxer. And another heavyweight who is a friend of mine, Louis. I think Schwenke is his last name. I have trouble pronouncing it, but that big Samoan kid who's also 3-0 as a pro and really good boxing, good wrestling. So I've been bringing in some bigger guys just to get that, get used to that big body kind of feel. And the camp has been great. Camp has been really good. Been pushing myself and can push myself a little extra because of the extra calories I have,
Yeah. No, that's great. And you talked about it there. I think we talked about this in the last interview too, but like it must be very key to have those guys that aren't that experienced that are going to give you that different look, right? Like, and usually when you got guys that are still trying to prove themselves, there's not a lot of ego there. So they're giving you the proper push. Do you kind of find that having that variety of, maybe the up and comers as well?
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. It's funny. I've seen a lot of high level pros, training at Jackson's and stuff back when I was there.
You had the all-star team over there at Jackson's, like in terms of notoriety, right? So.
Well, what's hilarious is I noticed a lot of the really high level guys would spar retards. Excuse my language, but a lot of the times they would go with guys who were kind of like the up and they like. Of course, sometimes the top guys would spar the top guys, but a lot of times those are the guys they wanted to avoid because they didn't want to have a fight that day. They didn't want their training to be their fights. I mean, you see a lot of time with pro boxers. They'll come in and get journeymen off the streets to come in just so they can beat them up when the cameras are around.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's what I do, and I'm not saying that's the way to do it. But it is good to get different guys to come in. It is good to get different looks. And yeah, one thing that you will notice with a lot of veteran fighters is sometimes they push themselves a little differently in the gym. And it's good to spar with seasoned guys, and it's great to spar with young up-and-comers who are big and strong and can give me good looks.
You mentioned boxing there. I wanted to talk about two of your former teammates. First one, Diego Sanchez. What do you think about him fighting in BKFC, fighting Austin Trout? I mean, good on him. That's a tough fight.
It's a tough fight. And, as we've seen, BKFC is not boxing,
Yeah.
It was really cool to see what's his name? Artem Lobov beat Paul Malignaggi.
Paulie Malignaggi. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting to see that a guy who does not have a pro boxing background anywhere near as extensive as Paulie get the W there. So it shows. Like I feel like Diego's going to fight the way that Diego fights, and Austin Trout's pretty legit. So I think it should be a good fight, but maybe it'll be one of those things that'll surprise us. Like, oh, wow, like this isn't just something that boxers can come in and do and take over. I don't watch BKFC as much.
I don't either.
Yeah, so it's not really something I guess I'd say I'm too like I couldn't. I'm going with my buddy Diego, of course, but it's not something I could like confidently be like, haha, I know the ins and outs of BKFC, and I know that this guy's gonna win because of blah blah blah. Like, it looks like a really cool. It's fun. I have friends that fight on it, and I've seen their highlights in like John Dotson and his brother.
Oh yeah, John's been killing it over there.
John's been killing it, yeah, and my old training partner Josh Moreno as well. He's been kicking ass on it too. It's like it's cool to see. It's cool to see. I like watching it. But like I said, I don't really watch it a lot. I only tune in when my teammates are fighting on it.
And just playing devil's advocate, any concerns a little bit about Diego fighting in bare knuckle just because he has taken a ton of damage, and that's not exactly the sport you want to be taking any more bumps and bruises in, right? Of all sports, right? Because you got to get punched in the face.
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah. I mean, I don't think Diego really has anything to prove anymore.
No, not at all.
Like everyone knows he's an awesome fighter. He was a champion before going into the UFC. He's got a lot of accolades. Everyone knows who he is. I think I'm not going to stop him from doing stuff that he loves. But we'll see, if if this shows to be his calling and he beats Trout, that would definitely be
That's a good point. Yeah. No,
you
for
know,
sure.
that would be pretty cool. You know, he'd prove a lot of people wrong. But yeah, I think yeah, like I said, I don't think Diego has anything to prove anymore.
One other teammate I got to ask about, because he's fighting in a couple weeks, Jon Jones. How excited are you for him to finally return in a new weight class and fighting for the title? It's just going to be incredible.
Yeah, I think you know, Cyril is a tough opponent, and you know, John's game for really tough opponents. I had said going into that fight. Sorry again, I have a new
Don't worry
dog.
But hey, your dog's he's trying to get some camera time. I get it.
Yeah, yeah, just making sure she doesn't tear the whole place up. But I think Jon is definitely a better wrestler than Ngannou. And looking at that Ngannou fight, if the same Cyril shows up, I think Jon's going to take him down whenever he wants. That being said, we all know Cyril's going to come in a little more prepared for the wrestling. But no one ever – you don't know until you're really in there with a guy like Jon. Unless Cyril's brought in training partners with an 85-inch reach who have the same dimensions as Jon, it's going to be really surprising when he's out there with them. But yeah, I think Cyril is awesome, but I think Jon's gonna win the belt.
Back to your fight. How do you see your fight playing out with you and Zac Pauga? How's it going down?
I can see him. You know, he seems very comfortable in the striking. I could see him, you know, throwing some jabs, some overhands, things here and there. But I would be foolish to think that he wouldn't want to try to take me down and try to manhandle me. So I'm prepared wherever the fight goes. I'm you know, gonna dance my dance and try to get the finish like always.
I always ask you this every interview because I always forget. Is this how many more fights do you have left on your deal? Because I know you signed a new one a couple fights ago. Is this the last one, or do you have like a couple more left?
This is the last one on this deal.
Okay, going for broke, man. I like it.
Yes,
so
sir.
does that add a little bit more to you? You know, just the fight, knowing that, you know, you get a good performance here, you could get a nice bump up, or, you know, anything like that?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. I think yeah, no, I like
the stakes are high. I mean, it's good, you know, like you're betting on yourself, which is great, right? So.
Exactly. The stakes are high, and I've just had to learn throughout this camp to ride the wave of chaos a little bit more, not fight it so much, and just kind of, you know, go with the flow. I can only do so much. I can't control everything. I'm just going to work hard, you know, fight my best, get this win, and, you know, get another contract.
What did you think of Jamal Hill winning the UFC title in your new weight class?
That was awesome. That was amazing. Yeah, a lot of. I was talking to a lot of people about that fight. Who do you think? I think Glover's going to win. Glover. I was like, no, I think Jamal's going to take it. I think he's just so relaxed, so comfortable out there, and moves so well, and he's got that touch. You know, he's got that touch, and it was incredible that Glover was able to withstand a lot of that punishment. Like that dude's a trooper for sure. But yeah, Jamal. He proved himself long before that fight that he's worthy of being a champion. I'm really excited to see if Yuri is going to make a pretty quick comeback, or if he's going to take a little more time and someone else is going to go in for Jamal's title defense. But I'd really like to see Yuri fight Jamal. That'd be really cool.
I agree. Oh man, that fight on paper would just be incredible. Two like really unique fighters for the division, so to speak. I think is good.
I don't know who else could even fight.
Ankalaev. Well, here's the thing. I think people felt like Ankalaev beat Jan Blachowicz, but Dana didn't like that fight, so I don't know if he's going to reward Ankalaev with the title shot. We'll have to see. But then Jamal has to fight someone, right? Like who's available?
In all honesty, I thought that was a draw. Like as much as towards the end, of course, like Blachowicz didn't feel like a winner, and he was getting steamrolled at the end. I think of those first 3 rounds, Jan won at least 2, and maybe one of them was a draw. Like looking back at it, I don't think it was as controversial as people think it is. And a rematch between them would be pretty cool, but either Ankh or Jan going up there and fighting for the belt, I think that'd be pretty awesome.
I agree. Speaking of awesome, what are you watching right now? We always talk about anime and other stuff. What are you getting into right now when you get that little bit of downtime in camp?
These days I'm kind of just you know, rewatching a lot of old South Park episodes.
Cool.
I've been really busy with fight camp, you know.
And
like
your dogs, right? So you have 2 dogs now. Did you always have 2? I was trying to remember.
No. So I had one lab pit, and we just got a puppy.
Oh,
so,
awesome.
and it's been
It's
she's
like
been
having kids in a way because there's a lot of responsibility, I would imagine. So
yeah. I mean, if this is a precursor to what kids are like, I can hold off on the kids for a little bit. Griselda,
exactly.
she does want to have kids relatively soon,
Mm.
which is fine. She's Mexican, and by her age, she probably would already have 4 kids if she was with a Mexican. So,
Yeah.
I you know
But that's
I
hey, that's cool. You guys have had those conversations, so things must be getting serious, man. Because it's been a while now. You guys have been dating, right?
yeah, it's been over 2 years now, and she's
Awesome.
we're already talking about stuff like that, and I
Good for
definitely
you,
want to
man.
have kids. Not like in the next month or
No,
anything.
no, I know you got a lot of stuff to worry about, but that's awesome, man. And listen, yeah, hold on. Like my whole thing is like I'm older than you, obviously, but I waited until my 30s before I had kids, and did a bunch of traveling in before that, and
Yeah.
because once you have kids, it really throws a wrench in a lot of your plans. So yeah, but the dogs are a good start because again, you learn a lot about like routine and
What's
stuff,
the
right?
age difference between you and your wife? Are you guys the same age?
So only she's like 3 years younger than me. That's it.
Oh, okay. No, that's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine. Was there any issues, if you don't mind my
No,
asking?
no, no. Go ahead. Hey, listen, we'll
As
let
far
the
as
whole
having
world know here.
kids
It's all
or-
good. No. It was. I was kind of ready. My career was sort of in a good spot, and just like financially, we were in a good spot to have kids. So I was like, all right, let's do it. So
Nice.
there was no hesitation with mine because I've always wanted kids. So I got 2 boys now. So
Nice. Congrats, man. That's
thank
awesome.
you. Oh, and
going
you'll
for the
like
third,
this. I think we talked about this last time. Oh no, no third kid. Two kids. Give them the world. Keep the third kid out of there. Just nothing there. But I was going to mention to you, my kid's been in jujitsu for like a year now, and he loves it, and he's doing really well. Like he's got his gray belt now. He's been getting his stripes, and I think it's translated into other areas in his like school. He's in kindergarten, but I think it's helped with that too. So shout
Yeah.
out to jujitsu.
Nice. No, that's amazing, man. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much.
Got a little
And
boy to be proud of, man. That's it. Like if I had a kid and he wanted to do martial arts, that's all even if he didn't want to pursue it, that's fine. But as long as he does it, that'd be pretty cool. Knowing self-defense, confidence, discipline, all those things. They bleed into the other aspects of life, learning how to
they do.
win, learning how to lose. So,
It's all important. I
yeah.
agree. There you go. Jordan, thanks for doing this, man. I'll let you get back to the dogs, be a Dr. Doolittle, so to speak. And you got anyone you want to thank? Any sponsors, social media, anything like that? I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, and like always, I want to thank God. I want to thank my parents. I want to thank my family. I want to thank my team. And yeah, I'm ready.